Okay, here we go. It's the Donovan Sadiq Show. I am back, and joining me is my sidekick, Pastor Don. I asked Pastor Don to come and join me. A lot of stuff going on in the city of Moreno Valley. Saturday, the 22nd, 5 to 7:30, we are having a debate, and that debate is going to be dealing with District 4 candidates. And we have a commitment from all of the candidates, but for some reason, everybody thinks Highland Fairview employee Ulysses Calaveras is not going to show up because they do not want him to show his immaturity and his ignorance of the issues. The rumor is he wasn't even allowed to speak at his own fundraising event, which really wasn't a fundraising event, because Ito already wrote the check to him. It's just something that they just throw together to make themselves look good. Because if you notice in the pictures, it's always the same people. So, Pastor Don, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
A lot going on. I know there's a lot of drama. You are going to be helping us in the debate as well.
I will be. I'm looking forward to it. And again, I can't emphasize enough for anyone in District 4 or even anywhere in the city of Moreno Valley to be a part of that. We need to learn more about what these candidates' views are and what they're going to do for the folks of District 4. So, yes, I will definitely be there. I will be honored to do the invocation, the prayer, and then, like I said, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, funny thing is, you know how we keep talking about how these pastors and bishops and apostles and missionaries and what other titles they have, archbishop, pope. I think that the next time some of these black pastors, the next title is pope. They're going to start calling themselves pope. But that's my opinion. But a lot of people don't know you were very pivotal in getting this venue. And I want to mention that to people because you don't like to talk about what you do because you actions speak louder than words, and you're a serious contender of that, saying that. But I want everybody to know Pastor Don was very, very influential about getting us this venue to have a debate. And we want to thank you for that and your inroads in doing that with Eric.
Well, thank you, Donovan. Again, I give glory to God. God's the one that opens up all the doors and allowed us to do this. And again, we are blessed to have a developer there in that at that site that is very wide open to these type of things, that wants to get his word out on what his project is all about. So yeah, it was like, God kind of opened all the doors and it worked out great. And I'll tell you, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I can't wait.
Okay, great. Let's just address the elephant in the room. For those of you who follow Facebook and the different Moreno Valley pages, Hector Diaz, he's a candidate in District 4. Pastor Don, have you heard what happened to Hector Diaz?
I had not, to be honest with you. I heard a little bit this morning about some of these things that's come up from Hector Diaz from last year, but I'm not as in tune with the details as you are. So yeah, please let the audience know.
Well, it looks like Highland Fairview is up to their old hatchet jobs, and I'm going to have to attach that to Highland Fairview. It could be another group, for all I know. I don't know. But the information's out there. We got the information. We confirmed the information. And for those voters that might be listening, and I know people don't listen to my show, but they listen to my show, but they don't listen to my show, but they listen to my show. Because for people who don't listen to my show, they sure quote a lot of stuff that I say. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
So anyway, Hector Diaz last year was involved in an altercation at his place of business having to do with an assault charge. And my understanding is he was charged with disturbing the peace, and I believe the other charges were dismissed. Or I'm not saying they were. My understanding, they were dismissed. The only thing he was charged with was disturbing the peace, which is a misdemeanor.
Sure.
And I'm very sure if that question is brought up to Mr. Diaz, he's going to address it. Now, people say, well, you don't say nothing about this. Well, okay, Victoria Baca, she is a criminal. I call her a criminal. And the reason I call her a criminal is because what she did was criminal. Disrupting a DUI checkpoint is not a good thing. Now, some people are against DUIs, and her stance is against DUIs. Now, what she did was a felony that she had Highland Fairview lawyers plead to a misdemeanor. So, again, there's a convicted criminal. Mr. Diaz has been charged with disturbing the peace. However you look at it, He was convicted of that. As far as the assault, those charges were dismissed from our understanding. So, yes, that record is out there. I'm sure if you come to the debate and you ask that question, Mr. Diaz will address it. As far as Pastor Don, I have to address it because that's what we do here. So,
Absolutely.
Do I think it's a good thing? Well, unfortunately, in America, we have this stigma to where we hold our public officials to a higher standard. But
just like pastors,
right? Exactly. But we have a president that says, "Grab them by the pussy, it's okay." Excuse my language, there, Pastor. But I just have to be raw. This is my show. This isn't the Pastor Don show. But and that's a direct quote from the President of the United States. So grab them by the pussy. Okay, is it right? Is it wrong? To rich people, I guess it's okay because according to Trump, hey, that's what women like. That's what they do. Whatever. Bill O'Reilly, his best friend. Oh yeah, hey, the guy is out. But unfortunately, fortunately, the tide is changing to where women aren't objectified and they're going to be treated with respect and dignity like they're supposed to do. And, it's really sad that here's a guy, President of the United States, it seems to me he's in love with his daughter. If she was treated that way, I'm sure as a father, he would not deem that acceptable. Right. So we all make mistakes, and there's nothing wrong with that. My problem with these public officials, because I'm not perfect, Pastor Don, you're not perfect. There's nobody that I know perfect is Jesus Christ himself.
Amen.
Outside of that, it's not what you do, it's how you address it moving forward. And I'm very sure Hector Diaz will address that issue. Victoria Baca never wants to address that issue. And that's my problem with her. You did what you did. Don't try to spin it. In Victoria Baca's situation, she was trying to say, oh, the cops roughed me up and they kicked me on the ground. They kicked me in my face. I might believe they kicked her in the face because her face doesn't look... Never mind. We're not going to go there with her.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, but she alleged a lot of things that the police did not do, and that's what we're talking about. Address the issue and move on. How do you think that's going to affect Mr. Diaz politically?
Well, I do agree with you. I go back to the Bible. It says, we're all sinners. We've all fallen short for the glory of God. We all forgiveness and. You know what, and that includes public officials, pastors, it doesn't matter. We've all failed one way or the other. But it's the way you address it. I agree with you in that. We need to own up. We need, it's no different than asking God for forgiveness and repenting of things, of our wrongdoings. We need to be out in front of it. We need to say, yes, I made a mistake, or yes, I did do that. And yes, it did get expunged, but I am responsible. And if you're man enough or woman enough to be able to go in front of your peers and the public and be able to, show your humility in that, I'll tell you, people are very, very forgiving. They really are. But you got to be open and honest about it. You got to be out in front. And if Mr. Diaz is willing, to be able to say, yes, I did this. Yes, it got expunged. But yes, I made a bad mistake. And I'm very sorry for what I did. People, like I said, public is very forgiving. If Mrs. Baca would have done the same thing, it would have the same results. So It's all in the way that Mr. Diaz addresses it. Right. And like I said, I don't know Mr. Diaz that well, but I've heard a lot of great things about him. If he addresses it in that way, I think he should be okay.
Right. And it's easy to sit here and armchair quarterback a person and what they would do in a situation.
Sure.
Now, people say you're always on Victoria Baca. Well, the difference in Victoria Baca is her and her goon squad made a decision to obstruct police officers. That's something I would not do. Okay? You cannot go up to a checkpoint and warn drivers. That isn't. What's the point of the checkpoint? So obstructing justice when you're doing that. Okay, we know cops have a bad reputation. We know there's some bad cops out there. Do I agree that cops should, if they're going to stop you to check your insurance, that's one thing. Anything other outside of that, according to the Constitution, they do not have a right to impede your movement. That's in the Constitution. You are free to roam and do what you have to do. Right. But driving is a privilege, not a right. It's a privilege, right? So outside of checking your insurance and getting drunk drivers off of the road, have no problem with them. But it's what Ms. Baca did and how she did it is what I have a problem with. And they should have charged her with a felony. But see, that's the problem. When you have a high-priced lawyer, and I'm not saying get rid of lawyers, but they're part of the problem in our politics, because if you're a rich person and somebody, Bill O'Reilly, and somebody charges you with a crime or allegation, you can buy your way out of the problem. $13 million in sexual harassment claims, and you don't think there's a problem? It's crazy. And see, the only people that think that that's okay are people that have the power and the money. Because of the average person, there's no way I could settle a sexual harassment claim.
No.
And it's my word against her word, and the physical evidence would show this and that and that and this, and you got this big...
Well, going back to Mrs. Baca for a second, I want the audience to know, a lot of people think that you have a huge vendetta against her or huge vendetta against others. The bottom line is the way you approach your the problems that within your life. It's the same thing, because I am pretty sure, Donovan, and I've known you for a while now. I know your heart, and I know that if Miss Baca would have reacted to her her conviction or to this thing with the checkpoint, and she would have been out front about it, and she would have been open and honest, you would not be on her case. You would not be attacking or anything like that. Same with Ms. Jimson in regards to the things that happened in her life. It's all in how you are upfront, honest, and humble about things that's in your life. Because I'll tell you, I respect any person who is willing to go forward and admit their mistakes, admit their wrongdoings, and basically ask the public, for either forgiveness or tell the public that you're going to go forward in the right direction. That garners respect. And if these folks would have done that, I think that the attitude you would have towards them would be quite a bit different. And that's why I'm hoping that Mr. Diaz will come off in that same.
No,
same
and
way.
I'm very sure Mr. Diaz will. But a better and more recent example, Evan Moron, same thing there. I give him credit for admitting everything that he did was him and him alone. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he does like simulating forcible rape against women. Yes, he does like illegally street racing. Yes, he does like calling on Twitter, we call them keyboard gangsters, racial, homophobic, and sexist slurs. Because if he did that to, he's not man enough to do that to a person in their face, because he knows he'd get his ass kicked straight out. So I'll give him credit for that situation. But why do these people wait until it comes up to try to fight it? So in Mr. Diaz's case, and I want people to understand this. It's like when I never thought I would be involved in politics the way that I got involved in politics, because you don't know what the future holds or what the circumstances happen to make you snap. I got involved because I snapped. I got tired of seeing what Tom Owens was doing. I got tired of what Highland Fairview was doing. And I said, you know what? I've been here longer than most people. I'm going to go and have my voice heard. Somebody asked me yesterday, am I going to run for office again? No, I'm not running for office again. We in this district are stupid. 2 years ago, we recalled Ms. Baca for nefarious reasons. Now, in November, we reelected her, and part of the problem is because Bank Robber Jimson did not step down. She should have stepped down and not run. So now we are stuck with a representative that we have not seen in this district since. She's a Highland Fairview employee, and she continues to be a Highland Fairview employee. Because can anybody tell me what has Victoria Baca done in this district since she's been elected? Zero. All she's done is gone to events with Kid Cabarrus. And that's what she's doing. So my political career is over. But Pastor Don, I found out that I think I serve the community better by giving them the information and doing what I do now. Think about this. We're having a debate. Probably the only debate in this election cycle. And that's being put on by us.
It is.
I have no dog in that fight. I can care less, because everybody knows I'm all about District 1. I don't care about the city. And when I say I don't care about the city, what I mean is until District 1 in the Edgemont area catches up and gets our fair share, I'm not concerned about the rest of the city. You have representatives over there. You have councilmen over there that can take care of that part of the city. I have to worry about where I live first before I worry about anything else. And I mean, you can understand that, right?
Sure.
We're going to have this debate. I'm very sure somebody's going to bring it up, but I want everybody to understand nobody's perfect. It is not what you did, it's how you address it in the political realm. So for those that might be Diaz supporters and might be disappointed, hey, it came out, it's come out. Now, unlike bank robber Jimson, this isn't hidden. See, now, and praise God, people are starting to vet these candidates and go and do their background checks and stuff like that. And that's one thing I believe Highland Ferry doesn't like, because now you just can't just put somebody up there and say, okay, I'm running. It is what it is.
Right.
Now, there are some things on Shailene Bernard. I'm very sure that's going to come out. I don't think there's anybody that runs for office that doesn't have something in their closet. Mm-hmm. So that's my take on that. So as far as what Mr. Diaz has alleged to do, and misdemeanor, if you think that is something that for you would disqualify you from voting for him, okay, there's nothing we can say about that. But the important thing is you got the information.
Right.
Now, if I was voting over there, it would be a disclaiming situation for me. No, it's not, because I've talked to Mr. Diaz about it, and it was explained to me what the situation was. And it's a good enough explanation for me. Now, I can't vote, so I can't tell you what to do. But it was explained to me. It makes sense. Situations, some people handle it different. Some people do what they do. But don't discredit him for the man that he is. If you got a problem with him, please contact him or his representative and get a definite answer before you discredit him, because we only have 4 candidates. So if you take him out, you're down to 3.
Right. Well, and again, I hope no one takes any candidate out, any of the 4, based on a past, past sin, basically.
Well, Cabrera, you better take him out, because it's not that he has a past sin. He isn't mature enough to hold the office that he does seek.
Well, and that kind of leads me to my first question that I wanted to ask you, Donovan, and I am very clear and understanding that District 4 is not your district.
Right.
But I mean, you do this show, The Inland Empire Informer, because you have concerns not only for District 1 and all of Moreno Valley, but of course the entire Inland Empire.
Right.
That's what this show is all about. So you're going to be there, of course, on Saturday
Absolutely.
afternoon. My question to you is, even though you don't have a dog in the fight and it's not your district, what are you hoping to hear from these 4 candidates? Now, again, we, and I want to make this very clear to our audience, have no idea of any of the questions that's going to be asked.
Right.
No one's asked me to put a question in. No one's asked Donovan to put a question in. This is all going to come from the residents and the people of District 4. But in regards to the content from the candidates, what are you hoping you're going to hear from them, or what do you want to leave and learn from each of these 4 candidates?
Well, number one, I want to know who they are.
And what do you mean by that? In regard to who they are, in regards to their beliefs for the city, their background, what are you looking to hear?
Number one is we have a problem in this city where people district hop. They move from one place to the other for no apparent reason. Evan Moron, that's an example of a person who district hops. Even my candidacy, when I came on the scene, people were like, well, you say you've been here 40 years, but how could you be in the military and stationed in Alaska, whatever? I was here based on a technicality. So if you asked me that, I would have said, well, technically, because I'm serving you and I serve the country, if Moreno Valley had a rule that you had to live in Moreno Valley for 5 years to get employment with the city, I would be exempt from that, because it would be as if I never left, because I never changed my home of record. So it's a technicality, and I would understand why people would ask me that question. And so I want to know from these candidates, well, you say you're from Moreno Valley and you're a product of Moreno Valley, Ulysses Carberis, but you lived in Texas 3 years ago. On your Facebook page, it says you're from Los Angeles, and now you're from Moreno Valley. So which is it? And then when we look up stuff on you, there's nothing there. There's more stuff about you in Texas and Los Angeles than there is in Moreno Valley. Please show me where you live in Moreno Valley. I don't understand. And then
That's a great question. I mean, again, and I think all four of them, not only Mr. Cabarrus, but all four of them,
tell
needs
us
to show
about your background.
Their background in regards to their
this community
in Moreno Valley.
Right, this community. I mean, just verify who you are. Hey, when people ask me, a question was asked to me, well, you say you're from here, but you didn't attend Moreno Valley High School. Well, no, I went to private school. So I was overseas, military kid, blah, blah, blah. I went to private school. I was Catholic school in my grade school years. No, I would never have been a product of Moreno Valley School District. Thank God. Okay? So getting them to know the candidate and their initial background. Now, my other part of that question would be to know what their knowledge base is of the problems in the district. And I think that's very important because, yes, the WLC's passed. Everybody's saying that. But the District 4 is next to the WLC. So what is their answer to deal with the supposed construction that is going to be happening in that district? How do you stop the trucks from beating up the roads? How do you stop the detours and the traffic problems that are going to happen? What is your plan moving forward to make the WLC work? That would be, I want to know their knowledge base, because just saying, kumbaya, my lord, and hey, let's just get along, that's not solving our problems. And then another question would be, if you are you for the WLC or were you against it? And why? I don't care what side it is because it's already passed. The point is, what was your stance? Because that tells people how you think and where you go. Are you of common sense, or are you are you an idiot? And that's what I think is very important. Tell us a little bit about where what you know about Valley, and what your connection to Moreno Valley is, and where do you envision going with the district?
Yeah, I think I agree that qualifications is so important to know where they've been, where they're at today, and where do they see this district going in the future.
Right.
Besides the WLC, what would say is the next one or two biggest issues that you'd want them to discuss for District 4?
Well, I told you about the quiet question we talked about before we came on the air, and you had never thought about it. And I think that's very important. But I don't want to tip anybody off, because at the debate, if that isn't even addressed, hopefully the moderator will address it, because I gave him we talked about that a little bit. But, it's neither here nor there, because it's something that is, you'd have to be a homeowner, which Mr. Cabarrus is not. He doesn't own anything of significance. That's why, honestly, Pastor Don, and I'm not saying he someday wouldn't be a good option, but I'm not going to put my future in a 19-year-old kid who has no life experience. I'm just not going to do it. No, he's 22, but you know what I mean.
Okay, I didn't know how old he was.
Yeah, he's 22 years old, but still at 22 years old, he's not even a homeowner. He doesn't even understand property tax. He doesn't even understand how to get a house, and what are your basics to get a house. My understanding is him and his father used to sell tacos on a little thing without a permit, which I'm not going there. I'm not. People say, oh, you say things that just. I'm not saying that to be disparaging. I'm saying factual things. Comes probably from hardworking parents, whatever his situation is. But at his age, he is not mature enough for me to put the city's future ahead, because a 19-year-old kid, it's just like me being a 40-year-old man dating a 22-year-old girl. If I was dating a 22-year-old girl, Pastor Don, what would be the first thing that would come to your mind?
Well, first of all, I think that age disparity will always be an issue. Because,
right, but yeah, of course, the age disparity,
from
but
a lot of angles, and not just the obvious ones.
But the obvious thing is, the only thing this 22-year-old girl can do for me is be a woman.
Yeah.
In that aspect. No life experience, and I'm taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
And us as adults, we know that when you see a significantly older man with a younger woman, he is obviously using his life experience to sell her a dream or whatever.
Well, and then let's take a look at these four candidates for a second. You've got, obviously Mr. Cabarrus younger, and of course the young gal Shaylinda, she's also younger. Then you got Mr. D.
Well, she's 35.
Okay, so her and Mr. Diaz is about the same age.
Yeah, Mr. Diaz is about 43.
Okay, and then Mr. Baker is a little bit older than that.
Yeah,
so,
Mr. Baker's about 45.
Okay, so
no, he's not 45.
Oh, I don't have no idea.
I'm giving a little kick in there, Mr. Baker.
Say, I don't know any of those four candidates.
Mr. Baker is seasoned. He's a very seasoned man.
Okay,
he's very seasoned man.
So based on what you know already for these four candidates in regard to their life experience, in regards to their positions on things, just from what you read, because I know, Donovan, you do your homework.
Yes.
What is your initial thoughts in regard to these four candidates?
My initial thoughts, I'm going to be honest. Crebaris is a waste of a vote. You take him out of the equation completely because and I'm saying this not because he's a Highland Fairview employee, which he is. Look at his decision-making capacity. The mayor is using his office, which is illegal, to endorse this man's candidacy. So if he doesn't even have the wherewithal to tell the mayor to take off your badge while you're at my function, Crebaris is not mature enough to even waste your vote on. So we've got three candidates, as far as I'm concerned, in the race.
And what's your opinion on those?
And my opinion is Shaylenda. She claims she's been here 11 years. But if you're asking me personally, I've talked with her. She doesn't know what's going on in the city. Okay. And that's my honest opinion. When I sat with her and talked to her, she had no clue about some of the issues that I talked about. So from her standpoint, it is very important for the residents of District 4 to learn the background of this young woman. Yes, absolutely.
Because we need to know
and
what
who is funding her. And right. I know who's funding her. So if you like loud mouths and you like people that talk loud and they enter their titles, I'm Dr. Denise Fleming, I'm Fleming. You might want to do your background search on this person. Okay? And now that was a big hint for you. Mm-hmm. And nothing against her. She has great ideas and stuff like that. But unfortunately, loudmouth women, you can't tell them nothing. The stereotypical black woman, and this is stereotypical. Notice I'm saying that. I'm not saying this is what real black women do. The stereotypical black woman, that you can't tell them anything. This is what we're dealing with in this candidate. Okay? That's my opinion. Donovan's opinion, Donovan's sole opinion.
Yeah, it's your show.
Okay,
so that's
right.
what I want to hear.
And,
how about the other two gentlemen?
The other two gentlemen, like I said, Mr. Diaz, he's a businessman, which means he knows how to do things. Now, personally, I do not like businessmen in government because government and business do not mix. Is the worst type of person to lead is somebody with a business background in government. How do I know that? Look at Donald Trump. He's not very presidential. He actually thinks that he's a dictator. I'm a CEO. Do this, it's going to happen. That ain't how the government works, period. Right. Warren Harding, a former president. He was a publisher of a newspaper, a businessman. One of the most scandalous administrations in American history, unless we know what these Russian guys are doing in this one. Total failure, which preceded the Great Depression because of their policies. If you keep cutting taxes, Pastor Don, and you're a businessman that says, oh yeah, we got to cut tax, we got to cut regulations. Without regulations, there'd be rat droppings in your cereal. All these things would happen. Arsenic in your water, all kinds of stuff. Because the only people that can afford to not experience those things are the people with money and power. That's why when people say bad things about Donald Trump, oh, I would love to have a beer with Donald Trump or George Bush. They would not have a beer with you. They don't know what it's like to get up and go to work. They come from wealth. And I'm not trying to make it a social class type thing, but the point is, I'm not saying that disqualifies Mr. Diaz, but what I do like about him is he's independent and he's accessible. And he'll look at the issue with a mind of a common sense type approach. And he does have a background of being here in Moreno Valley. So we do know that.
Now, his business is in District 1, is that correct?
Yes. So he's a business owner, which is a plus. But do not take that business mentality into government. What I do like about him, I've talked to him several times, common sense. The biggest thing you need in government is common sense. Your degrees mean nothing. Who cares about your degrees and your business acumen, whatever? Common sense, because this is not rocket science.
Well, and one more thing I want to add to that. It's not only for common sense, but remembering who you work for. You're not in there just for your own selfishness. You're there for the people you represent.
What, are you saying Trump's not there for the people?
I'm not going to comment on Trump.
Okay, right.
And then how about what's your thoughts on the fourth candidate?
Fourth candidate, Commissioner Baker. Everybody knows who Commissioner Baker is. He's the guy that does the
What's your opinion?
My opinion of it is he's a very good candidate. He's very seasoned. He has life experience. Hector Diaz has life experience. Miss Bernard has life experience. They're 35 years old. That's a plus. To me, that's a minimum for any candidate. You got to know what you're talking about. I mean, Kerberos, and I'm not knocking the guy. The guy's still wet behind the ears. These are facts. He's wet behind the ears. I don't even think he's made enough money in his life to even pay taxes. That's just my opinion. But Mr. Baker, a product of the 60s, so he's been around a long time. He's seen a lot of stuff. He's been in this town for 20 years. Mm-hmm. We know he's very active. The good thing about Mr. Baker is he's retired. And being retired means he will give a lot of time to devote to doing the job. Because when you are working, even though this is a part-time job, that's true. But 200,000 residents as a city as a whole and 40,000, 50,000 in that district alone, and you're working a job, I think we need to start making these things a permanent type job. Even though we've got city staff, let's get rid of the city staff and start making these jobs permanent.
You know, this is a lot of people that I've talked to, and you've mentioned before that I do a lot of things here in this city. I try to, hopefully for the better for the city. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people have been telling me that this District 4 election is very, very important for one more reason, and that's because it seems on the city council that there is a split. It looks like Ms. Baca and Mr. Gutierrez.
Criminal Baca, yeah. Idiot Gutierrez, yeah. No.
Well, okay, I don't
go
call him that. But Ms. Baca and Ms. Gutierrez kind of on one side, and then you got Mr. Marquez and Mr. Gaiba on another. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of split votes. I mean, if you go to city council meetings, you're seeing a lot of 2-and-2 type things. So this candidate or this next city council individual for District 4 can very well be the deciding factor on many issues that's going to come up to it. So in regards to that, and again, I'm just kind of wanting to know your opinion. How important is that person going to be in regards to being that fifth vote that in the city?
It's very important, and I'll tell you why. This person is going to decide, and either you're going to go with the mayor and his vision of what Ito wants, because the mayor is a Highland Fairview employee. Miss Baca is a Highland Fairview employee. Please explain to me how a 22-year-old kid can afford $2,000 signs all over the 4th District. Where is he getting that money? And the 460s are going to tell us that. This developer has purchased these seats. Why is he doing this? I've said it time and time again. He gets that third vote on the council. That's one thing. He's putting his employees on the school board. Mr. Moron, that's another thing, once he gets the thing over there. Why are they trying to put Rafael Gutierrez on the planning commission? And we already know, what's his name? He was the chairman of the planning commission, Brian Lowell. He took Highland Fairview money, so he's a Highland Fairview employee as well. He gets a majority on all three of these boards. What do you think is going to happen? The infrastructure bond is going to come up, or anything that has to deal with Highland Fairview projects. This guy will have a green light in on it, because he will never let the people vote on it. Because if you let the people vote on it, it's going to fail. And he knows that. I know that. You know that. It's done. He needs representative government to get his projects passed, and that will not impede his project. That's why he's putting his employees on board. Rafael Gutierrez, he's a friend of mine. He's not qualified to be on the planning commission, but yet the mayor insists that this man be put on the planning commission when there is an African American female Air Force veteran college degreed, more so than Raphael, more qualified in my opinion than Raphael, she wasn't even considered. Now, we're talking about...
Who was that?
I forgot her name, but everybody knows who I'm talking about.
Okay.
But let's look at these boards for the city. I'm not going to talk about the school board because we have African American. Cleveland Johnson is on the school board there, but he's only one. African Americans, black people in this city make up a third of the city. A third. How many black people are on the city council? None. How many black people are on the planning commission? None. How many black people are department heads in the 12 departments of Moreno Valley? One. Fire chief. Outside of that, black people have no representation. Now, you have these loudmouths running around the city, Denise Fleming, all these NAACP. Where are these organizations to speak up for the advancement of colored people? And and I'm not trying to make it a black, white, Hispanic issue. What I'm saying is representative government is supposed to represent. If you're not at the table to eat, you're serving or you're being served. Now, why isn't anybody talking about that? But yet they say, "Oh, I'm for everything." Oh, well, LaDonna Jimson was on the board. LaDonna Jimson's not a black woman. She's married to a black man. Period. And just because you're married to a black man doesn't mean you're black. Okay? Okay? I'm just keeping it real. Because you have to see what it is. We're a third of the city. How do you justify no black participation in the city? How do you justify that?
So let me see if I just want to make sure I'm clear. For District 4, we have two individuals
that are black,
African Americans.
Yes.
So are you saying that you are more towards those two individuals than the other two?
No, absolutely not. No. What I'm saying is in regards to the demographics of what Highland Fairview is doing. All this is about is to get to an infrastructure bond. That's what this is about. But what I'm saying is when you look at these candidates, you've got all these people in the city. There's no black representation and nobody's addressing that. Yeah. Nobody's even talking about it. Denise Fleming! Dr. Denise Fleming! She's for the people, but she doesn't talk about it. Yeah, I ran. I did what I had to do, whatever. The election was stolen from me. Fine, so be it. Now I'm doing this. Great. Now I'm talking about it. This election is pivotal. It's pivotal for this city because if this guy gets his majority, game over. $800 million infrastructure bond, and you're a businessman, Pastor Don. You cannot build anything anywhere, even a house, before you build the foundation and anything else. You got to put the plumbing in.
Absolutely.
Okay? 11% of our land in Moreno Valley has been designated for the WLC. That means we've got to put roads out there. We've got to put lights. We've got to put plumbing. All that has to be done before the construction can even start. Who do you think is going to pay for that?
Who's going to fund that? Yeah.
Now, if I got a 22-year-old kid and I'm bullying him saying, well, just vote this way. Don't worry about it. Just vote. Hey. So that vote is very, very pivotal. And again, we are going to invite you guys to come out. You know how pivotal it is? It's so pivotal that we had to put a debate on to get these candidates to come out and tell their story. So if Mr. Cabarrus does not come out to this debate and any of the candidates don't come out, you should not be wasting your vote on that candidate.
I agree. Before, I don't want to go too far along. Sure. I want to talk about obviously the one subject that's the closest to my heart because it's hopefully we're going to be able to have our church plant in this beautiful clubhouse that's going to be renovated, as soon as the plans get approved. So in regards to these four candidates, Donovan, and what do you want to hear from them in regards to the golf course / high density apartment condo project? What do you want to hear from them in regards to this particular project?
If I'm running for office and I'm running for my district, I want to hear the same thing that anybody would want to hear from somebody who's running for that district seat. The one thing, like me or hate me, the one thing you can say is when I ran for office in District 1, I had a clear-cut understanding of the problems in my district. Slumlords, bad streets, our property taxes are being diverted, Adrian Mitchell Park plaque is missing. I have street repair, no sidewalks. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. So in that district, I want to see and hear the knowledge base of these candidates, because don't tell me you're from District 4 and you don't even know the issues in regards to that golf course. And we're giving you an opportunity to contact that developer. If you're a smart candidate, you better contact Eric and have a sit with him before Saturday and get a gist of what's going on in that golf course.
Well, what I understand is that actually it was the other way around. Eric is the one that reached out to all four of the candidates.
Yes.
And personally invited them for this debate this coming Saturday. So it was Eric that made that first move to these candidates. But what kind of words do you want to hear in regards to the golf course? I mean, not only the fact that they understand that there's plans in place, but how are they going to help in regards to getting this project going forward?
Exactly. Like I said, you got to have a knowledge base and understanding of what is going on with that golf course, with the residents who've spent extra money just to live near a golf course. Right. But at the same time, you got to understand the developer situation in making money. So how can these candidates take two sides of an issue and make it work and move it forward?
Right.
And if I was, the first thing that I always say, Pastor Don, is you could, as far as I'm concerned, you could build a prison right here in Edgemont in the middle of Moreno Valley for all I care. As long as, if you're a developer, you can build a prison as far as I'm concerned. What do we get out of it? That's my question. What are we going to get out of it? Because your main job is to protect the citizens and make our lives better. Where is our civic center? This developer is bringing a Boys and Girls Club. I looked at the project. I looked at the pros and the cons of it. More apartments in the area, that's fine. But he's bringing back the golf course. Great. The biggest thing, a Boys and Girls Club that could benefit single moms and the community as a whole. Hey, you got my vote. As far as I'm concerned, you got my vote. Go ahead and build with what you need to build. Because this developer, unlike the one that controls this city, is vested in the community. Period. And that's what I want to hear. These candidates, they better understand the biggest issue in that district is not the WLC. It is that golf course.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree in all aspects of that. I'm hoping to hear also from these four candidates the idea of how this golf course and even the housing will benefit the community, the district, the neighborhoods around there. For 10, 15 years, they've been looking at weeds.
Right.
And they've been looking at fire brush, nothing but just trash all around there. And now there's this plan, there's hope that now you're going to have another championship golf course coming up here. And it's a wonderful project. And if it does have that 2-2 split that we've talked about, then that could be that deciding vote.
Right.
So we got to make sure that these candidates really understand the value for the residents in regards to this project.
Right.
So I think it would be important.
And like you said, who do they work for? You don't work for the developer. You work with the developer.
Exactly.
If it's going to benefit the community, you work with that developer. If it's a bad project, don't. If a developer came to me and said, well, this is going to work in 25 years, get the hell out of here. Get out of here. We need jobs now.
Right.
And that's what I look for in candidates.
I just want to ask you one last question. I know we're running out of time here.
We got the second hour. So
once we have these four candidates in place, and then they're all going to be in place for at least the next 2 years, 2 years plus, what are you hoping to see that this city looks like 2 years from now? Now that we'll have the four districts, and the mayor, we are all in place, and they'll be there for at least 2 years plus. What do you foresee as a 40-year resident of Moreno Valley? What do you hope to see this city looking like 2 years from now?
Well, very good question. I have to answer that in the second hour. A lot of stuff going on, and I'll answer it in the second hour, but I have a lot of plans for it.